So I had some free time today and decided to go pay a visit to a friend that has started his own MB workshop. He's even more of a 124 enthusiast than me. He has two of them that are daily driven. One is for his wife, and that is this wagon that you have seen me test drive before. Just paying a visit to Perth's own Mr. Trent Bergsma today at his new workshop. He does own two 124s himself, and one of them is in here at the moment getting some love. For anyone interested, he's also fit the M104 non-cooler version oil filter housing to his M103 as well, for the purposes of getting the larger capacity oil filter working on his 103. What's the mileage on this car?
288.
So 288,000 Ks on this car, and still perfectly visible cross-hatching pack in all of the cylinders. That's bloody impressive. You can see quite a bit of carbon deposits on top of the pistons here. No doubt that's from leaking valve stem seals or guides. That head is going to be fully rebuilt. And now that he's got a spare engine to put in the car, he's actually going to rebuild this engine as well. So this is what the cylinder head looks like.
There was a fairly obvious stain around the back of that head gasket where that oil was coming out. That was the main reason for the head coming off, of course. Was that oil that was then making its way onto everybody's driveway that I visited. Otherwise, underneath she looks pretty reasonable for given the age in kilometres.
Yeah, so there was no coolant leaks or anything like that.
Nothing.
No real issues. It was just a bit of an oil leak that
none of the gasket areas were blowing.
Yep.
Really just that telltale oil down the back of the.
That's the usual area, isn't it? That's a high
side for us, of course, but yeah.
That's a high pressure oil feed in that area, isn't it?
This one?
As in on the gasket here.
Oh, sorry, there. Yeah, that same.
So this is the high pressure oil feed area here where it was leaking. I was just dribbling down the side of the engine.
Just coming possibly there, but mainly out the back that way.
Oh, okay.
It somehow didn't go anywhere near the cooling jacket.
Oh, that's good.
I did it for a drain, I think that's a drain back. Nowhere near the cooling side of things, but you can see this clarity on the surface is basically being well lubricated. You can see the rest of it's got gasket surface still on it, but this was super clean, and the gasket reflected that. It was quite white in that area.
Right. So what does that indicate?
Well, that was just where it was
being
almost
cleaned
if it wasn't,
by
yeah,
oil.
Exactly. If it wasn't going along, I mean, if you look here, it's not obviously visible, but it could have been going through the gasket for all we know.
You've never changed this, have you? This is the original from the previous owner?
As far as I'm aware, it's the original to the car, but
right.
I wouldn't know. Someone out there might be able to tell me the difference between an early and a remade gasket or something, but
there's no part numbers or anything visible?
I've had it since 206,000 Ks. It's now 80,000 on from that.
Okay.
And I've certainly never done it. I only started leaking in the last 6 months or so. Just got slowly worse to the point where it was still manageable. I mean, it wasn't pouring out, but it was enough to warrant taking the head off.
How does the camshaft look on this?
I had to look closely enough.
Can't really see it.
No.
They're a high wear item on the 103, aren't they?
Particularly the early ones. They changed the manufacturing process somewhere around 88, 89. Some sort of, someone will be able to call it, but forget the wording of it, cold cast or something like that.
So this is the temporary donor engine while the other one is rebuilt. It actually came out of a 126.
I'm pretty sure this is the early version. A later version, like what's in my car, has an opening here. which is for exhaust gas recirculation.
Right.
There's a different, the shape of the combustion chamber is slightly different. That's more perfectly hemispherical, whereas this has a flat section behind two of the valves. Why they changed it, I don't know, but they did.
So does it still have the EGR valve on the exhaust manifold?
So on an Australian delivered car, we never had EGR.
Right.
So it's literally blocked off with like a core plug.
Right.
Welch plug sort of thing.
Oh, on the back of your cylinder head?
Yeah, I did see another 300E that had the cylinder head rebuilt here in Perth, and that plug popped out and it made a hell of a noise of exhaust noise. The owner couldn't find where the exhaust link was until we looked up and spotted this plug missing.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah. This would have been the early version with the two separate plugs on the core temp sensor. Whereas if you look on my engine, it's got the round 4-pin.
Oh yeah.
Like 104s, 119s.
So for those who have never seen it, this is the M156 6.2 litre V8 intake manifold. It did have to come off due to various faults with this particular unit. And what were they?
So it keeps throwing a rear throttle body short circuit to ground.
Right.
But inside here is two throttle bodies. The wiring comes out externally.
So there's some kind of electrical fault with
Some
this
kind of
unit.
electrical fault. In the process of diagnosing it.
And this is what that beast of an engine looks like, half naked. What's the mileage on this thing?
122.
122,000 Ks already, and it's already in pieces. That's not particularly impressive.
Highly strong.
Quite an interesting arrangement with the wiring harness there. And I see the dipstick is snapped off there. Something I can relate to.
Cylinder head covers off.
So Trent was just saying this is the early version of this engine because it doesn't have the plastic valve covers, which also means it has those potentially dangerous head bolts that just like to shear off and cause a catastrophic engine failure. So that's just something else to look out for on these. We don't know if it's been done or not. Does the owner want to spend the money to find out? And the owner doesn't want to find out. So these are the part numbers for the intake manifold gaskets for the 156. One interesting thing is they also seem to be for the 159 as well. Interchangeable at least anyway. Not really sold on these engines. I mean, no doubt they're a lot of fun, but I've always been a bit concerned about the issues that they've had over the years and whether I'm keen to take that kind of risk in ownership. Even for me, I don't like that idea.